Welcome.
Again.
Thank you. And welcome to Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club of Fairfield, Iowa. And tonight is a special night. We have our very own CNN Humanitarian of the Year in Fairfield celebrating at the Sondheim Center. So maybe we can rush out after this and say hi to Robin Lim and the great work she's doing to help women have a wonderful, natural home, birth, and environment, which is our birthright. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our president.
On your left.
Will Briggs.
Hey, Will. Thank you, Vera. Welcome, everyone, to Golden Speakers Toastmasters. To help us assume our birthrights and really embrace our power here. I'll start by looking out for any guests, and I see there is one guest. So, can you please give us your name? And
Sure. I'm Tamara Kulo, and I'm a guest of Rhonda.
Yeah, good job,
I
Rhonda.
don't know if pointing is allowed in Toastmasters. And I'm happy to be here. She invited me one other time, and I had a really nice experience.
Well, great. Have you had any past experience at all with speaking?
No, none. Although, man, I knew it would come out somehow. I actually used to be in Toastmasters in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Not very long, just maybe a couple of months.
Well, certainly, so hopefully this is sort of new for you, so they're comfortable at the same time as well.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of know the process and
Good deal. Well,
familiar with it.
well, feel free to take part in the table topics if you like, and certainly get involved, or you can just observe. Up to you.
Thank you.
Because here at Toastmasters, our mission is to provide a mutually supportive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Now, to introduce our roles and our role players, it's my pleasure to call up our table topics master, our Toastmaster, Jean Simonton Craig.
Yeah, Jean.
By the way, for those of you that are watching from home, you can always join us here any Tuesday evening, 7:45 to 9:15, at the corner of B and Briggs, the First United Methodist Church, downstairs. Come on in. As good as it is at home, it's great live.
No!
All right. Tonight we have some role players. The odd counter hasn't started yet. Our general evaluator will be Will Burns, and we will hear from him later. Just to get things going right away, let's get the odd counter on gear, on board. Jyoti, tell us your role.
Hi everybody, I'm your art counter today. My role is to keep track of filler words like like, so, but, and like other words. It repeats and all. So I'll keep track of everybody making those filler words, and I'll give the report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Let's hear from our grammarian, Art Atkinson.
My role is to keep track of, hopefully, excellent use of the English language, to note any faults if there are any, to give a report on that at the end, and to keep track of uses of the word of the evening. Now, the theme tonight is veteran. We usually think of that as a noun. Veteran is also an adjective, meaning particularly well experienced or savvy. An example would be he is a veteran speech contestant. And there's a word inveterate, which is very closely related, confirmed by long habit or repetition, usually referring to a peccadillo or other form of somewhat destructive habit. The Earl of Sandwich was an inveterate gambler, in fact, such that he never wanted to leave the gaming table and had people just make up quick meals for him by cutting off a slice of bread and a slice of meat, and that's how we got sandwiches.
Let's hear from our timer, John Luros.
I'm the timer tonight, and table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light will be turned on at 1 minute. Yellow light will be turned on at 1 minute 30 seconds. And the red light will be turned on at 2 minutes and remain on. And there's a 30-second leeway there. Tonight, we have 2 prepared speeches tonight. Rhonda Whitaker is a 5 to 7 minute speech. So Rhonda will get the green light at 5 minutes, then 6 minutes the yellow light, and then 7 minutes the red light. Diane Denbaum also will be speaking tonight, and she will have a special 2-part timing of 4 to 6 minutes. She will have the green light at 4 minutes, yellow light 5 minutes, red light at 6 minutes, and then again, our second part, it'll be an 8 to 10 minute speech where she'll have an 8 minute green light, 9 minute yellow light, and a 10 minute red light.
I'm sorry, did you do the evaluators?
Oh, the evaluators are 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes they'll get their green, 2.5 minutes they're yellow, and 3 minutes they're red.
Great. Thank you.
John.
Just so you know, if you're going to participate in table topics, you need to at least go till the green light hits. There is not a 30-second grace on the front end, but all the others, you do have a 30-second grace and then 30-second grace at the end after the red light goes on, for those of you that are keeping track. Later, we'll hear from our greeter and our joke master, Dan Craig.
Yo!
Yay!
And our ballot and leader counter is Darlene Martin. She. All right, we're right on track. Now is time for our workout number 1, which is extemporaneous speaking, using certain kinds of muscles that can be predisposed to freeze in terror or emptiness. But we're going to work out those muscles, and to do that, I'm going to call up our table topics master, Stephanie Chambers.
Yes, Stephanie.
Well, tonight, because we're celebrating Veterans Day or remembering Veterans Day, I've written some questions dealing with that topic. So I might try doing it the way you do it in this club. So I'll call for volunteers who would like to have a go. So,
Yay!
pick a number from 1 to 7.
7.
I chose the most uplifting topic. All right.
Good.
Probably the more expected one. Okay. What is the best way to prevent war?
What is the best way to prevent war?
Yes.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and guests, what is the best way to prevent war? Well, there's the truth, then there's what sounds good, and then there's my opinion.
Doesn't sound good.
The truth is that the best way to prevent war is for each individual to eliminate war within themselves and to create a world in which we function without violence, aggression. Now, I haven't learned to do this. I don't know about you, but throughout the day, most of the time, I still feel resentment, anger, frustration with my wife and kids, and I try to get them to do things by manipulation, by contrived ways of being. So if I haven't figured this out, I'm assuming that most humans haven't figured it out either, and that we could probably all improve in our ability to enact nonviolence as a way of being consistent. The second one is what sounds good, and that is the government should stop stop war, the people should stop oppressing everybody else, America should stop being a bully, and kind of like the politically correct sound bites that we hear where the thought police come in and say, this is how we should think because it's politically correct. So have you all heard of politically correct sound bites here? Oh, yay!
Yes.
Then there's my opinion. How we would stop war, the best way to stop war is education. Educating ourselves and others and giving people the opportunity to make a lot of money. Because people in most of the world don't have nearly as much money as we do. And before they're even going to think about peace, before they're even going to think about justice, before they're even going to think about loving kindness, they're going to want to think about indoor plumbing, electricity, and the freedoms that the economy give them. So just to review, you got the truth, you got what sounds good, and you got my opinion on war and the prevention of it. Go!
I might just make one comment about Veterans Day. In Australia we call it Remembrance Day. So it's similar. It's probably something that people all around the world stop for. So would anyone else like to volunteer? Slobodan? So pick a number between
1.
Okay. Tell us about a veteran from the war that you know.
Wow, thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home and guests, do I know a veteran? I didn't like your thoughts, first of all. I think the truth was better than that. But I'll tell you that later. I come from a country that probably went in most of the wars in Europe. If they didn't start there, they usually ended there. So, do I know a veteran? Probably everybody that I know that was older than me was a veteran. Unfortunately, even now, the ones that, when I go back home, even people who are younger than me are veterans. So, it's not like, do I know one? The problem is that I know too many. But if I want to talk about one that I know, it's my father. He went in war when he was 17. He was wounded, and then he was left for dead. And then one of his friends thought maybe he is not dead, so he crosses the enemy lines, pulls him out, and he is unconscious for the next 6 months, hidden in near somebody's garden, because they didn't want to have people walk and make a path to the place where he was hidden. So he was there mostly hungry and frozen. And then 6 months later, they took him to a place where it was safe, and then they found some planes that were going to Italy. At the time, Italy was under control of the Allies, I believe. And then he ended up in an American hospital, Army hospital there. So that's a veteran that I know. Thank you.
That was a lovely story. It's always nice to hear about people that people care about. So, who else? Oh, yes, Vera. Number 2 to 6.
2 to 6, let's go 6.
Okay. If you had to fight, what role would you take? Would it be the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or some other position, and why?
Let's pick 3.
Okay, you can have a different one. Okay. Do you think there is ever a situation where war is justified? Please give examples.
Thank you. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. Do I think there's ever a place where war is justified? Absolutely not. I want to talk about veteran for a cause and veteran for change. I was born in a very wonderful place. My father was a veteran for change, and that was in line with this wonderful lady that's in town tonight. He was a midwife, mid-husband, whatever the term is for the man, before it was ever even popular or hardly thought of. So he was a veteran through a lot of challenge with that. But he stood strong, and out of the 10 children, he was the midwife for all but one. And he wanted me to take that route, and I took it in terms of another health profession, but I did have my own at home without a midwife. And I'm here to say that we so deserve our birthright. Thank you, Robin. May you shine on. May women and babies know what it is to have a wonderful experience. The beginning of life ought to be the best. And throughout my time, I have assisted births. And if we just watch nature, we can learn so much from nature about births. How they go into a den where it's quiet and silent and alone. It's just so precious. Thank you all.
I don't think I have time for another one.
No, you do.
I do? Okay, one more.
Shifting slightly.
One more. Pick either 2, 4, or 5.
Let's go 4.
Okay. If an enemy had invaded your nation and you were occupied, what would you do? If an enemy nation had invaded your nation and you were occupied, what would you do?
You know, when I came up here, I thought this would be an easy one to take, being a veteran myself. But I really don't have a good grasp on what direction to take this. If a foreign nation invaded the U.S., well, if it was Canada, I'd be in a real quandary. Because not many of you know, but I actually am a dual citizen. And my loyalties are kind of split there. But anybody else, it's fair game. As a veteran, you experience a lot of different things. A lot of times we hear about the PTSD, and that's a very serious condition. It affects a lot of veterans coming back. But you also have the other end of the spectrum, which is kind of the experience of being on the world stage, or experiencing that adrenaline high, or that experience of being somebody involved in world events. So there's hardly a day that goes by that I don't think about dropping my life here in Fairfield, going back, to serve somewhere, overseas, a place where I can have that same feeling of excitement, that same feeling of engagement that I felt out there. Thank you.
So now I'd like to hand it back to oh, sorry. Okay, so if everyone would like to spend a minute and...
Did everyone
Oh, did everyone qualify?
Yes, everyone qualified.
Okay,
And
so
the names?
the names?
Seth Braun, do you need the times?
No.
I don't know the second gentleman's name.
Slobodan.
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 Okay, Vera Elizabeth and Will Byrne.
So if you just take a moment and write down who you thought was the best. Okay. Thank you for that, and now I'll hand you back to to the table topics evaluator, Jesus.
Yay! Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. This segment is to give some feedback to the speakers, to point out the things that were done properly, and things that might need a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of attention, something that hopefully they take home and or at least become conscious about it, and try to correct those minor flaws. I'm going to start with Seth. Seth, obviously you're a pro. You are a veteran. You've done this for quite some time. You came up here with complete confidence, really being in charge. The thing that I noticed is that you just stayed on this side of the stage and briefly make eye contact with Will. And focus more so you speak just for this side. And I think that being in front doing a speech, it's a show. You have to really grasp everybody's attention and connect with your audience. Just, as some say, one phrase, one member, one time, you will really connect. I'm like this with you and with you. And I noticed that this side of the stage or this side of the room, you hardly give any attention to it. So that would be my recommendation for you, Seth. Just use the stage better. Now we go to Slobodan. Another veteran, really confident. You came up here. And I will make the same recommendation. Make a better use of the stage. Most of the time you stood over here and your body wasn't good use of your body language. We communicate not only with words, but also with our body, our gestures, what we do, that really sends a message of what we're trying to convey. So that would be my recommendation. Just be more aware and just do a show when you come up here. Vera Rose. Vera Elizabeth. I was really impressed with your speech. You came up here, and I remember months ago, you used to just stay still, be like a post. Really stiff and talking really slow. This time you came up and you were really confident. You reject to answer the question because that was something personal. You just don't believe in word and you wanted to be something that needs more you. And you did. That was a good action on your part to say, hey, let's go with 3. Again, my recommendation for you will be to just move around, just become more free, give yourself freedom and move around and connect with everybody, even for a brief moment. Will Burns. The question was, if an enemy invade your nation, what will you do? And obviously you don't want to do nothing if it's with Canada. My recommendation with you will be the same thing. Just make a better use of the stage. You stood up over here, and I don't know if it's because of nervousness or just while you're thinking what to do, your body kind of like goes limp, and that don't show too much control. Your confidence, you obviously have a confidence in your speech and being up in front, but yes, become more aware of your body language. That's my recommendation for you. And I will pass it on to Fairfield.
Excellent, excellent. We have some real veteran speakers in this group, I think, and it shows. And not everybody started as a veteran speaker. They had to start at the beginning and work up, but practice and Toastmasters will get you that practice, that skill set. Now we're ready to move on to our prepared speeches. Before we do that, we're going to cut the camera slightly, and then now we're going to be hearing from our first speaker, and to introduce her and read the objectives for her speech is Scott Terry. Let's warmly welcome Scott.
Hello, everyone, and veterans at home and in our hearts. The strength that we all possess as veterans of this life and the veterans that we are trying to create within ourselves to have that power to do something more. As our wonderful Rhoda will be doing it in a second. Rhonda. Yes, of course it's Rhonda. So much for my invariant veteran speaking. All right. Let me go into our objectives first, and then I will give her introduction. The objectives of the speech, which is project number 2, Organize Your Speech, is to select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand your speech. 2, make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message, which I am already impressed before you even started. Use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to another. Create a strong opening and conclusion, 5 to 7 minutes. The introduction to the speech is that food is medicine. She's been using food as medicine since 2007 to heal an illness involving too much heat in the core organs. This is a little known remedial science from Oriental medicine. She is here to make this possible for you too by sharing the 5 elements theory. This is a wonderful thing to really think about how we use food as medicine, which is core to everything we do, what we take in, and what we transform it to become. Please.
Hello, Toastmasters, viewers at home, and honored guests. I'm here tonight to share something that I think is something that's a well-kept secret that could benefit each and every one of you. It's something that is done by an herbalist in Korea, a veteran herbalist, who does your natal birth chart and tells you what your balances need to be in your body. We all come in with different elements. We come in with different amounts of different elements, different strengths and weaknesses, as well as strong versus weak, hot versus cold. We're a mixture. The 5 elements chart here shows you our 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. This chart has the name of the 6 Patriarch Zen Center, where you can look up their information, healingthesource.com. All you need to give them is your name, date of birth, and time you were born. They will send you the natal birth chart. This is what the simple chart looks like. You notice it has time, day, month, and year. And it gives you your body constitution, which is very difficult to find out unless you have this done. This person is a lesser yang. That would be me. That means that I was born at the hottest time of the year. I have a lot of heat already in my body. The yin water is my personality element. That means I'm soft and flowing. But with all the heat inside and the soft flowing personality, it can cause impatience for me because there's so much internal heat going on. I won't get into explaining how they do this because I don't know. The first thing I'd like to talk about is our group here tonight in reference to the 5 elements. We are a universe within ourselves. We have a group consciousness to grow our awareness of how to be a competent speaker and a competent leader. I have diagrammed our roles according to what we do.
Yeah, Rhonda.
So we have our sergeant of arms in the wood position. Wood is all growing things, all matter that grows in the cycle of the universe. Then we come to fire, which is the upsurging energy of growth in the universe, the air and gases. And down here we have earth, which is the adult phase of our life. And we go on to decay, the autumn of our life, the metal phase of life, all inorganic matter. We become more inorganic as we get older. We contract, we become dense. It's a battle to stay loose. And in winter, we have the kidney energy, the water energy, which is the birth and death cycle before it comes back to the growth, being born and growing once again. I put Vera here because she's our support team. She sets up the room. She makes sure everybody has the papers they need to play the role. We have our president, our Toastmaster and our Table Topics Master, who are all putting on a good face for us. They smile. If they came in depressed, we would probably get up and leave because we got better things to do with our time. So they set the tone for the whole meeting. They're very supportive for the audience. The audience can relax, they can feel content, like they're in good hands. They know that they're going to be entertained, they're going to learn something new. There's nothing to worry about if you're in the audience. So the speakers display courage. We have myself and Diane will be displaying courage tonight, speaking in front of everyone. If we came in sad and crying, oh, I just lost my favorite cat, but I have to tell you about 5 elements. You know, you would leave the room then too. There's a great deal of support here in this room. It's a cosmic melting pot for our consciousness to develop and expand. So the courage of the speakers nourishes the water element, which is our wise evaluators. If no one spoke, what would they evaluate? They collect the gems from our speech and they look for areas where we could mine a little deeper to develop ourselves. Our energy from the evaluation also feeds our group consciousness. It grows new things within our group. And the cycle begins again, it goes on and on. I'd like to bring you back to this larger chart that shows the creative cycle. We have the wood element. When the wood is out of balance, there's anger. If Vera came in and said, I don't know why people aren't here early. You know, I really need some help setting up this room. You know, there would be a bad vibe in this room. Vera is very compassionate and tolerant. She exhibits the positive aspects of the wood element when it's in balance. The fire element, happy. We have happy leaders in this group, role players that are happy. If someone came in depressed, again, it would set a sour tone in the room. We have our audience who are very sweet and cooperative. And the mettle, the courage of our leaders, of our speakers. All these work together. They also control each other. The star in the middle is control cycle. And if a person here had too much heat in their stomach, too much heat in their heart, these things would also contribute to too much heat in the lungs. This would create too much dry ashes from the fire in the stomach. This in turn would be referred to the lung, which would create asthma. This in turn would go to the kidney. If the kidney is weak, small, and can't handle much water anyways, it won't do any good to drink a gallon of water. The kidneys can't process that much. So the way to treat this imbalance of the kidney being really weak and not being able to nourish the liver, which in turn nourishes the heart, is to treat with cool foods, cool and neutral foods. Our American diet is predominantly stimulating. It's spices, it's sugars, it's caffeines. It's something that when we're tired, we go for those things. Any restaurant you go to in Fairfield is going to have all, that's how they make most of their money, to tell you the truth.
Preach
These
it.
are cooling foods. Pardon?
Preach it.
Preach it. I think they're not just one step from an opium den. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's us because we don't know what we need inside us to balance our strengths and weaknesses, to prevent us from having these bad moods, and to prevent us from having illnesses that also come with the imbalance. So if you are interested in doing something to help yourself, some simple thing like eating foods that will balance your organs, your major inner organs, you can contact healingthesource.com. In closing, I would like to close with a quote that comes from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in honor of the holidays, because gluttony is one of the things we celebrate on holidays if we have no self-control. Sahanav avatu, sahanav bunaktu, sahaviryam kara bahai, tejavi nav aritam astu, ma vidvisai bahai. Let us eat together. Let us be together. Let us be radiating truth. Let us be vital together. Let us be radiating the light of life. Never denounce anyone. Never entertain negativity. Madam Toastmaster.
Oh! We'll take a brief moment and let her clean. Very good. Our next speaker is Diane Denbaum. And here to read the objectives of her speech and to introduce her is her evaluator, Seth Braun.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, Diane is a veteran Golden Speaker working in the advanced manuals. This one's speaking on television. She's also a veteran officer, having served the club. In addition to Toastmasters, she is a woman, a relationship success coach, a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, an aunt, a stepmother, a friend, a Toastmaster, we covered that, PE teacher. And all this happens each and every day here in Fairfield, Iowa. Diane is working on this TV manual, doing project number 4, the press conference. The objectives for the press conference are to understand the nature of a television press conference, to prepare for an adversary confrontation on a controversial or sensitive issue. Ooh. To employ appropriate preparation methods and strategies for communicating your organization's viewpoint, to present and maintain a positive image on television. Can she do it? Yeah! Will she survive?
Yes.
Let's welcome up Diane Denbaum. Yo!
Welcome, members of the press. Thank you for coming from the Wall Street Journal, the Gazette, Fairfield Ledger. I see the sources here. This is fantastic. I'm representing Madly in Love Forever, a coaching service for singles and couples in the area of relationships. And we have an announcement. Madly in Love has entered into an agreement with the Veteran Relationship Coaching Institute to teach their conscious dating program. Dating in today's complex world. There's a lot out there, journalists, and I know that you've come to find out what I have to say about this. I also want to say that this is the first time that this very effective course, Conscious Dating, is being taught locally in Iowa by 2 local coaches. This course has 2 parts to it: self-discovery and readiness, and the attraction part. I will speak on those as the press conference goes on. This course, Conscious Dating, is designed to help singles, most importantly, number 1, live the life they love, and number 2, find the love of their life, if this is what they're choosing. Now, here are some facts I want you to know. There are 2 huge trends going on in society today. The first is marriage. The marriage rate is down. Fewer people are getting married. The second social trend is the cohabitation rate is up. Many, many singles are choosing cohabitation, the mini marriage, as we like to call it in Conscious Dating. Now, here's the other thing. The divorce rate with marriage is still about 50%. I understand it could be a little less than half. The cohabitation breakup rate is 80 to 85%. This is sad. This is not working. Also, there are more singles today in America than ever before. 101 million people living in our country are single. That's 46% of the U.S. population. A vast majority of these single people are reported to say the following: they want, they desire, they pray for loving, trusting, long-term committed relationships. Many singles are ready to just throw in the towel. They are frustrated, they are hurt, they are angry. They are tired of people trying to change them. They'll actually admit that they're tired of them trying to change people. And they're definitely sick of the gimmicks, the pickup lines, the faulty websites, and all the rules. So here we are, madly in love forever, teaching conscious dating locally. This is timely. This is not a mistake. Now, briefly, I'll explain to you the conscious dating program. I mentioned there were 2 parts. The first part of the program, a single would work from a 142-page manual, and in the second part, they'd work from about a 68-page manual. These manuals are filled with wisdom, with the best of, so to speak, relationship information that's out there. It's comprehensive. It's also filled with worksheets, checklists, assessments. When singles do the exercises in these manuals, the exercises in the manuals are based on the old age, age-old adage, know thyself. So a single does these exercises, and so that you get all the correct information, if you just give me a minute, I want to find my notes here to see where I'm at here. I get really excited about this, and so Singles, just, if you're single in the audience, a single reporter, just stay with this.
Diane, what are the new rules of dating?
Thank you, Rhonda from the Zen Times. I can't wait to answer that question. Give me about 5 seconds. In a nutshell, fellow press people, the exercises just allow a single to know who they are, what they want, and they'll know how to get it. There are no gimmicks. This is about being authentic. Singles become choosers. They become empowered. They get to live the life they love and find the love of their life. This is why we are thrilled at Madly in Love Forever to announce that we will be teaching this course locally. I'd like to now move into any questions that you might have. Rhonda from the Zen Times.
And what the new rules of dating are, because I have thrown in the towel.
Rhonda, there are no rules according to me and according to conscious dating. The beautiful part about this course and this program is that you will decide your own rules for what you want in your dating relationships. This gives you an opportunity to let go of what's happened. It doesn't matter where you've been, but where you're going. You're not going to be told what to do. You're not going to be you have to say this or he has to call on Wednesday. You will decide and create your own relationship plan.
Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome. Thank you. Jean from the Herbalife Today.
What makes your program different from others?
What makes our program different is, it ties in a little bit with my answer to Rhonda. This course is different because it's created by the person doing the course. It is filled with information, it is filled with knowledge, and you have the choice to apply what applies to you. We're not telling you what to do. You will leave this course with your own relationship plan. You will leave this course knowing what core competencies, we call them. You need core competencies to work at any of your businesses. You need competencies to be in a relationship. So you will learn skills. You will have a plan. You will know what you are doing. And that's very important because a lot of the failure that is happening is because we're trying to mix dating with being unconscious. And now there's a new formula, dating with being conscious, having a plan, being the chooser. It's also just the person that does this course gets to be authentic in the world. They're not going out thinking, I better follow the rules of that book, or I better do what this person says. You're going to do what you created for yourself. So that's what makes it different. Yes, another person from the Herbalife Times.
Yeah.
Art, good to see you. Thanks for coming out.
How would we know that this stuff works long term anyway? I checked, and you and your co-teacher, co-instructor, have only been married 6 years.
And they've been happy 6 years. Thank you. It's true, you could say we've been married 6 years. However, Louis Denbaum, my husband, and the other fellow local Iowan coach, together we've been married 25 years, and I did 14, so add that, and then these 6. So we have that experience of being unconscious, doing the best we could then, and now having used the principles of conscious dating, met each other, and have a foundation that has made these 6 years a lot easier. There are no guarantees. I think that conscious dating would just tell you it raises the probability of finding the love of your life and having your relationship last longer, because it's based on knowing who you are, your values, your life purpose, your life vision, things like that. So I can speak from, yes, it's 6 years, but even in these 6 years, I see the difference between knowing what you're doing and not knowing what you're doing. I also want to share with people, it's not fun to get divorced. It really hurts, and it hurts children. And so I'm out here with a lot of experience and a lot of mistakes and a lot of wins to share the Conscious Dating program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Vera Elizabeth from the Garden Gazette.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. What do you tell singles that are tired of the bar scene and want to find the love of their life?
Tired of the bar scene. In conscious dating, after single people have gone through self-discovery and readiness, okay, and they're in that mindset they deserve to be loved, they can find the love of their life, they go into attraction, and in attraction, they talk about, conscious dating talks about 4 different kinds of venues that singles can go to prepared to find the love of their life. The first would be just public places. Now, that's not as likely as venue 4, but supermarkets, airports, bookstores, coffee shops. The second is actually the bars, online dating. The third level, which increases the likelihood of finding someone that's more aligned with your values, vision, purpose, is the interest. Going where people share the same interest as you. Playing tennis, coming to Toastmasters.
All right.
Any single journalists here? And then the fourth level is where you're most likely to meet someone that you're aligned with, and that's places of worship, places where people share your values, or community service projects, Habitat for Humanity, things like that. So you don't have to just rely on bars. Does that make you feel better? Would you please tell the singles that read Garden Gazette? Thank you.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. Thank you. Dan from the Drummer Circle newspaper.
What is your opinion on the institution of marriage?
My opinion on the institution of marriage, I like the idea of marriage. I like being married. Conscious dating doesn't really, people that do the course, it doesn't really take a stand on marriage. What it does take a stand on is not messing around with your heart or the heart of other people and figuring out what it is that you want. Do you want to just what they call recreational date, just short term, and being honest with those people? Do you want to be married, or do you want to do the work that's in these manuals to live in a successful, long-term, committed relationship without the marriage? But as I said, I like the idea of marriage. I like the idea of the ceremony and the commitment and things like that. That's my opinion. Will, from the Army Times.
Is your course only for people who want to get married? That is a goal.
The course is not only for people that want to get married. Actually, really, number one, the course is for people who want to, number one, live the life they love. You can get that out of the course in and of itself. The second thing is you will find out by doing the assessment at the beginning of the course and the assessment at the end of the course, you may just want to recreationally date all your life. That's fine. You just decide the rules and the regs for you, and you let the people know out there what you're up to, because the conscious dating is about truth, not hurting people, not using people. And so no, the goal is Do you want to recreationally date, or are you looking to get seriously involved on a long-term basis, whether that be marriage or not? I might have time for one more quick question. Were there any more questions out there floating around? Jesus.
So what happened with the man and the woman? They don't agree, or maybe they change their mind about being in a recreational relation.
You're talking about recreational dating?
Yes, yeah, that can change over time, or on one side.
When people decide, if you did this course, you were single and decided, I'm going to just recreationally date. The rule of that is basically you just want to have fun. And the boundaries around that are your own as well. You have to let the person know that you're dating, what you're doing, and they have to agree to that. And basically you would both say, if it's not fun anymore, we're not recreationally dating. And you've agreed ahead of time, this is not going to be a drama. We're not going to hurt each other with this. And whether you get sexually involved or not is your business. Does that help?
Somewhat.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm being called away. The press conference is over. Thank you.
Now let's take 2 minutes and evaluate Diane. Mr. Timer, did our speakers both qualify?
No.
No, okay.
Only Diane.
Diane qualified, all right. Good, all right, well then we don't need to vote because we're going to know who our winner is. With that, we're ready to move into the third section of the meeting, our evaluation section, and for that, I would like to warmly invite up Will Burns, our general evaluator.
Thank you, Jean. If the table topics were our appetizers, the speeches, our main course, this would be the dessert. Yay! Or maybe the panel of judges who are tasting the food and testing it to see if it really meets all the palatability, the mouthfeel, and everything that we like. So I'm going to now call up our first veteran evaluator, Scott Terry.
Yay! Sorry, I'm a little crooked tonight. A little creaky. Maybe it was the oatmeal cookie because before I batter into everything. What a great speech tonight. Yes. Absolutely fantastic. The visuals were just stunning. It really pulled you in just to even see the visuals. I've never seen any speech with so much preparation, with so much work involved in it. It's just fantastic. The preparation, the utilization of the charts themselves, not just having the charts, but really utilizing the charts and being able to go back and forth and be able to come out with humor. What a fantastic thing. The story, her story really opened up. The speech, her voice, her confidence in herself and her material just shined right through. There's a lightness in the speech, not just the cat humor or the opium den, but the utilization of being able to lighten things out while we're talking about such heavy material. The cosmic melting pot that she was stirring us around. The great use of the audience and the organization, and a really nice pause at the end to let it settle in. What I would have liked is a little bit more of that pause, a little bit more of letting everybody digest. There was so much material that you brought out. And one thought that we might consider for us is to really take that pause, to really take the moment of digestion, and to take it in a bit more. maybe a little bit less material. Maybe going in a little bit more in depth into one of your subjects. Use more pauses, more vocal variety. Up and down, and now let's talk about this, and we're on wood now. Do you know about wood? Wood is fantastic. I'm sorry, we're talking about water. Just make it come alive a little bit more. There's so much for us to digest that you need to animate it and animate yourself and really present that material in us right now. So much material really also needed a fuller conclusion to really make it come home. But the speech was so fantastic, so much that I wanted more. I wanted a half an hour on the subject to really pull us on. Everybody could hear it. Because that's what it's about. Thank you so much for giving such a wonderful speech. And thank you, Mr. Table Topics. I mean, somebody, Mr. Will.
Thank you, Scott. And now I'll call our next speaker, our next evaluator for our beloved veteran speaker, Seth Braun.
Thank you. Well, speaking of war, I think it's time to do some damage here for Diane. As you know, I like to, as an evaluator, I like to drop a shoulder every once in a while and really bring it home, bring some value. Diane was in the hot seat tonight. Now, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home, Diane is an experienced speaker. However, she has not spoken here in a while. How many of you know this? And so she has some habits that she's regressed to that I'm going to point out today. However, before I drop off the turnbuckle and start to apply the pain, I will point out that the topic was well researched. Diane certainly knows what she's talking about. How many of you found the statistics and the data compelling? Thought it was quite well done. And I'm just going to go through the manual here and give you constructive feedback, because if you were on TV, you want to know these things. And you will be on TV, and you will want to be prepared. I say this having been on TV, having done shows for my first book, Healthy, Fast, and Cheap, to promote that book. And you'll want to know these things. So how effectively did the speaker present his or her message? The piece that you did well was lines when you were really into your material. Gimmicks, pickup lines, websites, people are sick of this. Loving, trusting, long-term relationships. People want to find the loves of their life. And then when you actually were answering questions, it was very natural. In fact, you were more natural and relaxed and better speaking when you were answering questions. How many noticed that? You were searching for words, and every once in a while you wouldn't have a word, so you'd use words like parts. Instead of being specific and saying the beginning of a relationship, or in meeting people, you used a generic term to try to fill in. Was the speaker able to maintain control of the conference during the question and answer period? I thought you did great at bringing the control back after stumbling near the end of your speech. That was good. You really used your energy and your attention, and you pulled us back in and said, I'm up here and I'm driving the ship. How many of you saw her do that? That was great. How convincing was the speaker in explaining the company or organization's position on the issue or situation? Was he or she prepared? The content was solid. I wanted to hear the word core competencies more often. I think that was your strong point. We deliver core competencies to help you discover what you want. Give me that over and over again. Use that as a hook for at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end. Core competencies, strong, polished, and professional. Don't talk about the manual at all. Don't even tell us that there's a manual. Don't hold it up. It's ugly, it's big, and it's intimidating. I don't want to see it. How effective was the speaker in building and maintaining a positive image? Very well. You stood for something and not against something. Very important. Very done well. And The speaker's appearance, gestures, and body movements were the appropriate for television. Gestures were too big and too fast, and don't move at all. If you're up here and you're on TV, you have to stay in one spot. And your gestures have to be slow, and have to be very deliberate, and expressions on the face can't be fast or surprising because they're amplified by the camera. Diane, you were in the hot seat. I commend you for stepping up and taking on this project. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. And now I will turn to our timer and ask him if all of our evaluators have qualified.
Scott Terry was 3 minutes 22 seconds, and Seth Braun 3 minutes 47 seconds.
Tabletop.
Jesus 3 minutes and 37 seconds.
5-7. So we have one person who qualified.
Yes, Scott Terry.
All right.
Yes, Scott.
Well,
That's a vote for Scott.
all righty. So if you're going to vote for Scott. All right. And with that, we can move on here fairly safely to get our full report from our timer, John Loros.
Want to just read down the times?
Yep. Read down the times.
Okay. Table topics. We had Seth Braun at 2 minutes 19 seconds. Slobodan at 1 minute 38 seconds. Farrah Elizabeth 1 minute 46 seconds. Will Burns 1 minute 38 seconds. Speeches. Rhonda Whitaker 8 minutes 50 seconds. Diane Denbaum 17 minutes 1 second. Jesus 3 minutes 57 seconds. Scott Terry 3 minutes 22 seconds, and Seth Braun 3 minutes 47 seconds.
Thank you, John. Next, we have our awe counter, Jyoti Raj Adhikari.
Here's my extensive report. Jean, she has only 2 R's. That was good. Art was very clear. John, so 3 small R, and somewhere. And Seth, you have a lot of R's today, and some you-knows. So, and then sometimes you went so fast and said and something like that. So, and there was some. It's not a tongue click that you can say lips click like snap. And there are some repeats as well. Slobodan, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 R's and 9 ands and some repeats. Vera, 1 tongue click. And Stephanie, 1 R and a couple of repeats. But not clear repeats, but when you start, half repeat. And then you start. Yeah. Wilburns, there are some you-knows, and some so's, and a couple of repeats, a lot of repeats. And Jesus, 1 R, 5 repeats. Scott Terry, 1 a few tongue clicks, and some repeats, and not actual repeats, but start. Rhonda, 1 some tongue clicks, and few repetitions. And Diane, her speech was very, very clear, but very few R's. In long speech of 18 minutes, about 18 minutes, it's very clear, but some R's and some repeats at the end. And sometimes she repeats when she was answering, you repeat like you, something 3 times, 4 times. That was my report. Thank you.
Yeah, Jyoti Raj.
Thank you. And now moving on to our grammarian, Art Atkinson.
All right, Art.
Yeah.
Good evening, Toastmasters. Well, veteran was a winner tonight, but interesting. It was used as a noun in the early part of the meeting many times, which I'm not counting as a use of veteran as an adjective, that later on began, we got veteran as an adjective. There was some beautiful language, colorful things that I picked up. There's the truth, there's what's politically correct, and there's my opinion. I think that was memorable.
Yeah.
Jesus, you said as an evaluator, make better use of the stage. You said that to each one of your evaluatees. And I would have said, make more complete use of the stage. Telling somebody to do better isn't a particularly useful evaluation recommendation. But the more specific you can be with the recommendation, make more complete use would be perhaps a little more to the point you were trying to make, which is address all parts of the audience, use the space more fully. You get the idea. Scott used veteran as an adjective and noun. Rhonda used it as an adjective. She said, we are universes in ourselves, and this gem, she said, as evaluators, we collect the gems from our speeches. I thought that was memorable. Seth used veteran as an adjective twice. And somebody started to use inveterate. I just didn't catch what was Scott did. Okay. Didn't hear what happened there. Veteran as an adjective from Diane. Conscious dating is about living a life that you love. Conscious dating does not take a stand on marriage. I thought that was a very clear way to say the difference between what your course teaches and the issue. Will use veteran as an adjective. That's my report.
Yo! All right, all right.
Thank you, Art. And with that, I'm going to call up our greeter joke master, Mr. Dan Craig.
For the theme of veteran, I got a couple of the humor in uniform jokes from Reader's Digest, if any of you are familiar with those. Two quick ones. After enlisting in the 82nd Airborne Division, I eagerly asked my recruiter what I could expect from jump school. Well, he replied, it's 3 weeks long. What else, I inquired. The first week, they separate the men from the boys, he said. The second week, they separate the men from the fools. And the third week, I asked? The third week, the fools jump. And then the other, well, snarled the drill sergeant to the miserable recruit doing push-ups in the rain. I suppose after you're discharged, you'll be waiting for me to die so you can spit on my grave. Not me, replied the recruit. Once I get out of the Marines, I'm never standing in line again.
Thank you, Dan. I've always appreciated those since I started reading them for the amount of humor and just application that's involved in there. You know, because that a lot of times you'll see the more serious side, but it definitely brings out the more humorous side as well. Thank you for that. And now, as Toastmasters, we just charge right in here. So I'm going to charge right into my general evaluation here. From the top, Jesus. I tell you, actually come up here and you talked about the role of the evaluator. I'm up here, I'm talking, what am I doing? Well, we already covered that. We're up here to evaluate, to provide feedback to the speaker. I felt that you had good advice for all the speakers, myself included, and that you did a really good demonstration. The three of them, you mentioned using space, and you actually demonstrated moving and focusing on both sides of the room. With Scott, you had a good introduction for Rhonda, and I also feel like you really did a good job of acknowledging and then offering some way to improve off of that. So, for example, you would acknowledge the use of visual aids, but did note that they were kind of heavy, that there was a lot of content. There's almost too much content there to really handle. And I thought that was a very good point, because I love them, but it was kind of hard to get lost in them myself. I found myself getting lost. You also hit on that great pause she did at the end, but tied it back to more pauses. And I'll say this in general to all speakers and all evaluators: pauses are your friend. They're your secret friend. They kind of back you up. They're like that friend you have who is kind of quiet, doesn't do much, but they'll always stand up. You know, if you're in a bar fight, they'd be there to either drag you out and get you off or whatever.
Your understanding improvements.
You don't have to go to bars.
That's right. If you listen to Diane, you don't have to go to bars at all.
It's your habitat for humanity.
That's right. If I went church. Or church. If I went to Scott, it would just be to, when you introduce a speaker, introduce when you bring them up, her name and the title of the speech. Yeah. Seth, it's actually interesting because I don't know how many of you noticed this, that this week Seth was evaluating Diane, and last week it was reversed for a similar position, a televised speech. And this demonstrates how veteran both of these are at speaking and evaluation, because they both had excellent pieces of advice for each other. Seth, tonight, noted the solid research that she had, but also the subtler things that, as a speaker, myself included, who is working on finishing his CC, but has not gone and done the advanced speeches, little things like filler words. We have an R counter that did a great job tonight for catching those, but Seth stepped it for the TV words, parts. I thought that was very well done with that. Also, I love this word. These words, core competencies. Really, as speakers, we have strengths. Rhonda's, visual aids, evaluations. Gene Simon and Craig can nail down by the numbers what's going on. Seth has a personality that just lifts the room up and moves him to where he wants him to go. I couldn't be Seth. I couldn't be Gene. I have to find somewhere in between those two, the very businesslike and structured, and the completely wild and crazy to evaluate. And with that, I hope I've struck a decent balance and edged one step closer to becoming an inveterate evaluator. And I think I have to actually turn it over to myself, if I'm mistaken. No! Gene Simonton Craig, come on back up. Give me a award. Yeah!
Yeah, Gene. All right. Getting wild.
The leather jacket. Yeah.
Bust it out.
You just don't spend enough time with me, Will, that's all.
Now for a hair flip.
Now for a hair flip. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, for those comments. Do just want to mention, before we get to the somewhat already anticipated results of the voting for tonight, that I just want to point out that this was Rhonda's second speech.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we do have, yes. Scott gave her a very detailed, almost a general speech evaluation using all kinds of things that Rhonda will run into in future projects. But it's almost an indicator of how good she is already, that naturally that kind of evaluation was coming out from Scott. Always feel free, though, to use the manual, because I know Rhonda had so much built in her speech, but really it was just about getting some ideas in order and have some transitions and have an opening and have a conclusion. Of course, on that she was way out of the park. So just want to mention that piece. And while I'm mentioning Rhonda, why don't we just come on up and let's have you have your ribbon for your speech number 2. The only question that we have tonight is the table topics winner. So if you could pummel your thighs. The winner is Seth.
Oh my God.
All right, our best evaluator, the only evaluator that came in on time was Scott.
You can do it.
You okay?
I can walk.
Goodness.
Yeah.
You're gonna hurt. Okay, all right, very good.
Why did I say I deserve that?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
You got it.
All right, and then our best speaker, again, our sole qualifier, but we aren't saying whether she deserved it or not, is Diane.
I do have to laugh because last week I said to Seth when I was evaluating him, just a note on dress, be careful not to blend into the background because he wore blue. So I'm thinking tonight as I'm getting dressed, I'll just put on red and you're not supposed to have a lot of glitter and all that. But I just looked at the manual and it said, avoid colors such as red. And I'm in red. So anyway, I thought that was funny.
But you looked good.
Thank you. I didn't want to blend in with the background.
All right, we're coming down. We're almost there. I do want to make one more comment as a veteran Toastmaster, that to me it's a bit disappointing that we have so many people that are not completing their assignments within the time. Veteran Toastmasters as well as beginners. We have a timer for a reason, and if you're out in the world, you will be asked to leave the stage if you're exceeding your time. So there's a reason that we practice this.
Preach it.
Right. Right. So let's just all commit as a club to, regardless of how scintillating and brilliant we are in the moment,
It's hard.
that we look at, I know it's hard, I know, but that we watch the timing so that we can practice that skill as well. Okay? Can I have people like go, yeah?
Yeah!
All right.
Pretend you're on radio.
I like some competition. I like people make through. Great. So with that, I will turn the meeting back over to our president.
Thank you, Jean. And I have one more thing to present here. We talk a lot about veteran speakers here. And when we throw that name out, like we say, Diane is a veteran speaker, that you think, oh yeah, she's been here for a while. But I wanted to kind of acknowledge her because she actually has qualified for her Advanced Leader Bronze. She's gone further than I have. And come on up here.
I'm back on TV again.
Back on up here. What this basically says is that she has gone above and beyond. She's done both the CCs, which we're all working on right now. If you're not, C. Jyoti. get those speeches in there.
The CL's the competent leadership.
Yes, and
Yeah.
she is, but she's done both the the CCs, but now she's also done the CLs and gone on to the advanced leadership. So she's gone beyond even there. And I encourage each and every one of you in this club to bring your manuals, get them signed, so you can complete your competent leader. Right there's manual. Get it signed, and you can start attacking these more advanced leadership roles.
And then it helps the club as well. I also had to give 2 speeches from the Toastmaster Better Series and another one, I forget, the Club Series, Successful Club. So just to help the club, and it helps train the new members and remind the veterans. So anyway, that's what you do to get the advanced bronze. The main thing is just bring that manual with you when you come. Thanks, Will.
Yep. And for me, for all of us, thank you, Diane, for your service.
You're welcome.
Now, before I close, I will go back to our guest once again. Just tell us about your experience tonight, good or bad, or somewhere in between.
It was excellent. It was excellent. And one thing that I did notice in all the speeches is I don't know if they talk about this in the manuals or how to speak properly in a setting like this. But I noticed that compared to the last time I was here, the speakers, every single one of them, from evaluators to the formal speeches, they were so emotionally engaging. And I don't know if that's something that you learn over time, or if that's, I don't know, just as a woman, it just, everything really grabbed me, you know. And I know there's a formal way to give a speech, and then there's just when it grabs you emotionally, that's really powerful, you know. Very impressive.
Yeah, it is. I can't even count how many Toastmasters there are in this room right now. And each and every one of them would have a different way of putting this and answering your question. For me personally, I would say that the lessons of Toastmasters remove those barriers, those maybe inhibitions, but really the little things that trip you up to allow us to really speak our truths up here and actually express what we want to express without getting concerned about our gestures, our posture, being stuck behind this thing, which we love so much, but traps us sometimes. And I think that's kind of that is really what it helps us to do, is to really expand out. In my own experience, I'm sure each one of them has a different one. And with that, I release you all to your own experience. Please stick around for a few minutes and help pick up, put up the chairs, take this down, since Vera doesn't have to do it all herself. And with that, meeting adjourned.